Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the IT Business Podcast. I am your host, Uncle Marv. You are here listening to the live show, Wednesday evenings, 8 p.m., presented by NetAlly, your number one ally when it comes to network testing, diagnostic tools. They are lovely friends of the podcast. If you are watching the video, you saw some of the other sponsors up there. Tonight, we are going to have our newest sponsor. The mug that you can see if you're watching the video holds my nightly drink, sponsored by SuperOps. And Juan and Nancy are waiting in the green room, and we will be talking about them. And then, of course, our other sponsors, Computers Done Right and InstantHouseCall.com. Let's, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get on with the show. Let me bring in the man himself, Mr. Juan Fernandez. Jacket is present.
Ready to go.
Nancy Henriquez.
Hey.
The girl with the dragon tattoo. Although there probably is no dragon anywhere, is there?
There is not.
No dragon.
You know what's funny is that I actually have the dragon tattoo.
Oh.
The man
so
with the dragon tattoo.
We do need to have some tattoo disclosures.
You did say there would be tattoo talk, so.
Yes. Although I don't have a tattoo, so I don't have much to offer.
I was wondering about. I was like,
all conversation. All right.
Listen, this is about as crazy as I ever got in life. I had an earring in the left ear until I was 40, and I said, that's enough.
Yeah, I know. I still have that same ear piercing, Marv.
All right, so here we are, our newest sponsor, SuperOps. So we're going to chat and discuss all things SuperOps, the all-new, future-ready, all-in-one PSA RMM tool to help you grow your business. Supercharge it, one conversation at a time. Did I hit all the points?
You got it, man. You're hired.
Okay. All right. So Juan is the channel chief, which is the short version of your title. What's the long version of the title?
Oh man, I think the long version is what did they say? Chief cook and bottle washer, if you will.
I'm like, do we have time for all that?
Don't get me started. Like, I'll start adding all of my titles to just keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. You know what my favorite title has been in my whole life? I'll tell you this, Marv. It's CEO. And it wasn't for the reason that most people think. It was because I changed it. I changed it to Chief Encouragement Officer. Yeah. Like, that's been my thing, is to encourage others to be successful. Like, even no matter where I've been, like no matter at the top or at the bottom. And so, yeah, as far as title goes, I've always been like, this representation of my background has like even been about just getting people in a room and fixing problems and working on building businesses. Like, that's what this is like, actually, for my old team back when I was building my MSP, they called me the king of the conference room because I didn't have an office. I sat in the conference room and we got shit done. And so it's not about titles to me, but it's always been about working to help others and try to make things better. So this is why I have such amazing teammates like Nancy.
Well, and speaking of Nancy, your title is Queen of the Americas, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Either way,
my crown is over here. I just placed it because it gets heavy sometimes.
Well, you got those headphones on, it would mess things up.
Oh God.
All right, here. So SuperOps, you know what? Let's do this. Let's get right to the questions, and let's get the hard crap out of the way.
Ooh,
because that's what people are here. They're going to be like, oh, Are you gonna throw some softballs at him? Well, of course I will. You're a sponsor here. So I'm going to do that. But let's first start off with the fact both of you guys are less than a year into this, right?
Yeah.
So Juan, my first question to you is going to be why you and why now?
So I'll be honest about this, right? One of the things that I saw a few years ago, again, being an MSP for as long as I was and building mine, I recognized the challenges. And coming out and teaching and helping and giving my models away and helping others understand like how I grew and scale mine, I kept seeing this trend, and I was like, man, there's got to be something better for us, like something that fits us more elegantly. I love the construction glove. It fits. It helps me build the thing. But man, I really want to be a surgeon, and I'd like a surgical glove that fits me really well. And so I actually was going to go and build an ITSM platform. And I knew that there was a need in the ecosystem after talking to so many wonderful MSPs and speaking at conferences and just sitting down and listening to the problems. I'm like, you know what the problem is that there's no process in any of these tools. Like, it doesn't help me build the process to grow and scale my business. And so as I started to look at things and invested in a number of SaaS companies and started looking at other things, like I always still wanted to do it. I did the work to try to put together one, and I just figured it was going to take me too long to build. So when I stumbled across SuperOps, one of the beautiful things about it was I asked a lot of questions because I'm a real hard ass when it comes to vendor due diligence. Like, I'm a really tough person to do business with as an MSP. And it really was hard to do business with me. So a lot of the vendors that tried to do business with me couldn't get there because like I just had a really high level of operational excellence I required. And so I dug hard into SuperOps to see if I wanted to, take a look at it. And man, I just saw and I kept asking questions like, are you going to do this? Like, I can see that you're building this in the platform. Are you actually going to do that? And I was really uncovering a lot of their future roadmap. And so I was like, this is the tool that I think is going to be the thing that actually changes the managed services industry. And I said, I believe it so much that I'm actually willing to put my name on it, which is not something I normally would do. I said, normally I'd be I'd put money into something and stand outside and like kind of let it take its place. But this one I felt really strongly about, and I could tell what it was doing, and I could see the synergetic aspects of the way it worked inside of the managed services era, thinking about the future and like how MSPs work and the workflows and all the things that we need to manage. It was too smooth for me. And I was like, I had asked a couple of MSPs, can you do me a favor and just take a look at this? Anytime I was going to invest in something, I'd ask a group of very opinionated friends to take a look at stuff. And of the 5 that I asked, 4 of them came back and said, thanks for the tip, I'm signing up. And I said, whoa, you've never done that. Of any of the things I've ever invested in, why? And they're like, dude, it's too good. And I said, all right. So then I got it. And that's when I decided that I was actually going to come work for SuperOps. And I actually didn't say that. I knew I was going back in, and I actually was going to put a badge back on. Being my own boss for so long, I said to myself, is this really what I want to do? And the reason that I chose to do it was because I knew it was going to change the industry. I knew it was the right thing. It was the right time. I knew that there's a lot of people that had the need, like they need tools that work for them, not the other way around. And so I said, look, if I can help build this tool to be the thing that moves businesses forward through and has the process to help build success, then I'm all in. As long as you guys are willing to listen to me, I'll come and take it to the US. And
Nice.
That's it. And I knew that I could build an amazing team of fantastic folks because they'd see the same vision that I saw, because it's not BS, it's real. So that's why I did it. And that's why I'm doing it. And that's what I'm super pumped about. Like every day I get up and I'm like, today's the day that I get to announce something freaking awesome, one time after the next. Like, it's just so cool, man. So this is why I'm here.
All right. And Nancy, you were very recently on this side of the aisle in MSP. Now I know that you got all, big and stuff, and you sold and you did some big things. Why are you now at SuperOps?
I did not get big, by the way. Jeez, I'm still the same size. Look at me.
Yeah. You can move the camera closer and,
Right. Love it. No, so funny enough, I'm just dropping stuff over here. Um, my journey to SuperOps starts actually a few years ago. So one thing that I have actually said recently is that this has felt kismet for me. Let's see, where do I begin? One
At the
thing that
beginning.
at the beginning, right? So a few years ago, there was a few gentlemen and I on a stage at a conference, and we were discussing the future of MSPs. Um, and so one of the things that I said during that time was that what we're looking for in the future, and this was what 2019, so several years ago now,
Yeah,
um, that we're looking for vendors to start to participate in the MSP community. We're looking for the not in a monetary sense, but like education, investments into the MSP world that are beyond uh, sell my product. Why? Because we make you a lot of money, right? So at the end of the day, that's for me, it was a aha moment of the future is going to be vendors working for the MSPs. Why? Because that way we all make more money together. It's an ecosystem. So a few years later, we start talking about an ecosystem. And so for me, when I heard about a RMM platform that was supposed to be the future a couple years ago, I decided to take a peek, and I liked what I was seeing. Um, I was a part of the advisory board from the very beginning, early stages. It I left after not too long, but then after that, I was on their podcast, and so as an MSP, sharing my MSP story. And so around the same time, funny enough, Juan and I had talked about working together at some point in time. And so this is why it's Kismet. I was looking for my next opportunity, and Juan approached me with an opportunity to work with the community. And for me, it was like I hadn't even thought about that as a next step. But I used to say when I retire, I want to be able to go back and help MSPs, mentor MSPs. I want to give back to the community that raised me. And so, because I've been in this community since uh, out of high school, so for me, it was like I want to do that in return. I want to give back. And so, um, when I retire, right, and Juan gave me this opportunity of, hey, you could come and do that, and I pay you. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Okay. And so I obviously had looked at the product. I wish that I had recorded my reaction when I first saw it, because I fell in love the moment I saw it. And so it was like, okay, when he said super ops, I was like, done deal.
Very nice.
Kismet.
Very nice. You guys are getting some nice reactions from the chat there. Nothing that I'm going to pin up right yet, but we may come back to a couple of those. So I said I was going to start with a couple of hard questions. I hope that that was not too harsh, but I do want to ask, it's not the elephant in the room, but it's something that kind of always sits in the background. At least it did, that there was this persona of SuperOps before your time,
sure.
years ago. And I'll be honest, I know very little about it. I heard about it. People bring it up and talked about SuperOps and their marketing practices, and I hope that
Sure.
they're better, and all of that stuff. Have you guys had to deal with that, or has the shift truly been made that it's in the past and I should have not asked the question?
One of the things I knew coming into this, like I was here and watched during the whole ordeal. Like I was thinking to myself, That company's got some of the biggest balls in the industry to go and do that. And I watched that whole thing play out. And I thought, man, that's a hell of a statement. And, the challenge is that just like anything, me and, we mentioned early on that not everybody loves every kind of marketing, right? And especially competitors. And so there's poison pills that can be taken and distributed. And then, of course, then there's connotations and a number of different things come about. So as far as marketing goes, the whole attempt and the whole persona of SuperOps is to be bold, to be different, and to be brave, right? And for that perspective, the marketing spoke in that way. It was an idea that was born by a number of MSPs that said, hey, you guys might want to consider doing this. And then it kind of got adopted and then acted upon. But being bold, brave, and brazen in terms of going to market has not changed. SuperOps will still be those things. It's just the way we're doing it now in terms of the way we're marketing isn't as loud as that, right? We know that the one thing that we were after the first part was to support the community. We were listening to the community's voice, took the community's voice and amplified it times 10. And not everyone in the community felt the same. But that hasn't changed our mindset on how we're actually still embracing community, similar to the show we're doing now, right? We're still out to help MSPs. We're still doing all the things that we were doing before. We're focusing on mental health and, women in tech and spotlighting MSPs. Like all of the things are still relatively the same. It's just, we may not do another flash mob. So trust me, I knew what I was getting into when I came here. And I remember having to go and I said, look, there's one thing I got to go and have a conversation with all the Reddit MSP mods of the boards and be like, hey, look, get it, saw it. It's in the past. We're taking care of it. Won't happen again in terms of, doing things like that were seen as maybe different in the US. Yeah. So by all means, this is the beauty of why we're here. Nancy's the head of the US community, running it very well. And I am here to make sure that we do all the right things to support our partners and all of our wonderful folks in the MSP world the way that they feel like they should be. So any feedback, would love to hear it. I'm on all the boards. I may not talk on all of them, but if anyone wants to have a conversation about things that we can improve, we're all about learning, right? And so we all make mistakes. And in that cases where we've done things in the past, we course correct. And so we're changing, but all the same token, we're growing really fast. So I'm excited about it. So to your point, we're still the same. It's just, we're still community focused. We just probably won't 10x amplify and do something like that again.
Well, let me say this. Your reputations are high enough in this industry that people are going to take notice. Yes, you guys might be, unicorns, or, you're not going to toe the company line exactly, but you're honest, you're fair. You
Sure.
speak the truth, you speak your truth, and both of you have made names for yourself being successful in this industry. And now, Juan, I did not know you, previously, but my friend Taco in the chat here, when I heard that you two were friends, I'm like, oh, okay, must be good people. And Nancy, we met a few years ago, and yes, we are friends, by the way, in case you're still wondering. So it has been good here.
It takes a lot to be a good person, right? Like it's a lot of effort. Even when our new SDRs were joining us, and I said, look, here's the thing that will follow you for the rest of your life. Is your brand, just like my jacket, right? Like apparently you guys think my jacket has to be here all the time too. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like you have to focus on like being the right person, like, and that's, you have to be who you are. And I was like, look, I don't have any expectations about who I want you to be. I want you to be who you are, but I want you to stay in your lane, right? And then stay clean. Your reputation will always be the thing that you have the most. So I appreciate you pointing that out, because it takes a lot, especially the channel, man. Like
sometimes it's hard. Yeah, sometimes it's hard. And the biggest thing that I say is who you are in public and who you are in private if they're not the same, people are going to find out at some
You
point.
100%. That is a true statement.
Exactly.
I've had that conversation so many times that it's at nausea that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I used to always, be told, well, I would tell people, ask me a question and I will answer it the same to your face as I would behind your back. And, if it's a bad thing, it's like, you may not want to ask the question, but
you're probably going to get the
that's
real
nice.
answer, right?
Yeah.
I know I'm the bearer of bad news often.
All right. So let's, before we get too far along, I want to make sure that, I, acknowledge once again that yes, you guys are sponsors of the show. Now, I'm not a user of the product, and I don't know if that's a yet in parentheses or anything, because I don't vet vendors all the time. There's a ton of vendors in the channel. I have what I have in my stack. I like it. Every so often, I'll pick one and I'll look at it. But when you reached out to me for sponsoring the show, I'm like, well, I think we can make that work. And I know that you've been wondering, when there was going to be some stuff coming. And today I'm unveiling your mugs here, printed today, just so that you know.
No, dude.
I've got the second one here. So each of you will
Yeah.
get your own mug. I'm unveiling the printing here. So there they
I
are.
literally said, I wish I had a mug with the logo on it. And there you give it to us.
There
Like,
they
how
are.
awesome is
So
that?
That's awesome.
each of you will have your mug soon. We'll just talk after the show about where to get them sent. So there you go.
Yay.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Cheers.
Thank you. Nancy, do you have a beer?
No, I do not have a beer. It's Pellegrino.
What is that?
I thought it was like a Miller Lite.
Yeah, I don't drink beer. So it definitely wouldn't be Miller Lite or beer at all.
You know what though? There's a comment in there. I don't
Not a
know.
beer drinker.
We might that cup looks like it might hold some other adult beverages too, for those that are asking in the chat.
I mean,
So
no,
let me
this
at least
one in
explain.
particular does not, but
These are
I guess it could.
not your typical, they're not the ceramic mugs. So it's, yes, you can put both hot and cold liquids in them, but don't put it on a hot plate because this will come off. So this is your basic mug. I use it for my, so this is my
What's in there?
Adult beverage?
What's
After
in there?
hours libation?
No, this is my concoction that I make. Sometimes it's a combination of orange juice and water, coconut juice and water, pineapple juice and water to keep my voice silky
Sultry.
smooth.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And
Now,
then
do you put a little something in that though?
sometimes I'll have a hot tea, but I had that earlier. My angry hot tea, for those that remember the Podnuts Pros days, that's there.
That's awesome.
So now that I've got that, that's my sponsor portion for the evening. So you guys have your mugs. It will be en route soon.
That's so cool, man. Thank you.
Now let's answer the question here for those that may not know, because there may be some people that popped in here just to see you guys. There may be some people listening who are regular listeners but don't know what or who SuperOps is. So let's at least do that. I know I mentioned it as the all-in-one PSA RMM tool, but what exactly does that mean?
Yeah. Well, if you think about SuperOps and you think about the operational aspects of your business, for those MSPs that may be just starting out, which I don't know if there's any of them here today, but you're thinking about, there has to be some tools, there has to be some things that I need to operate my business or support my customers. And there's a number of options, right? Sometimes you stumble across a PSA that's like a ticketing platform, and then you might find some tools that you can remotely control and get some alerting and connectivity to those devices. And SuperOps is all of those things. So instead of having to go to a multitude of places for it, you can come to a one-stop shop in terms of a fully integrated AI-driven RMM PSA tool. And a lot of the things that MSPs start off as is without process. So we start doing tech, we start doing break fix, we start working on machines, but like we don't have like ticketing processes and SLAs and all these other things. We just start servicing things. Well, SuperOps has gone above and beyond to try to build the processes that you need to operate your business effective and efficiently into the tool, so that you don't have to go out and recreate all these things and go out and learn, how do I run these tools better? It's already done for you. So a lot of the things that you would spend, and I know because I did it, multiple years trying to figure out, is done for you. And
I
that's really
laugh
the
at
beauty.
that.
Why?
I'm like, I know because I did
Oh,
it, and I'm like, oh my God, those days.
I was there. I remember using free PSA RMM tools back when I had my first one, like, and thinking, okay, well, I just need to get to revenue and then I'll be able to buy something nicer, right? And ultimately
Yep.
I did, but I spent a lot of money building that first one. And then the second one was even more expensive. I spent millions on that, right? So this is just a much different, more fully integrated tool that has automated workflows and collaborative communication and centralized, customer communications and security and compliance, and a really seamless, unified dashboard to where when you're working on stuff, I've even heard people say, and I'm injecting a reality from customers, where I think the button should be is right where I want it. Like I close my eyes and say it should be right here, and it's there. And that's the amount of effort that SuperOps has gone through to listen to customers and partners and actually go through and change and configure and build this platform to really fit, like I talked about earlier, like a surgical glove. So that's what SuperOps is. And we have so many amazing things inside of it that, yeah, Excel is
Do you
everything.
have Excel sheets in it?
You can export to
Excel is
Excel.
everything.
That's for sure. I'm sure that at some point we can give you that view if that's what you
So
want.
I think, a lot of us,
Aren't you tired of seeing that though? Sorry.
yeah, but a lot of
I
us
think we can do
started
table
out
view
with, looking for tools. And of course, the
for
first thing
sure.
you get from most of us is that remote access. We
Yeah.
just want to be able to
Yeah.
remote in. And so we get that. And, back in the day, now I didn't start until 2014.
Sure.
And that's not too late in the, MSP game, but it's not too early either. But a lot of the tools around that time were not integrated. Your
Sure.
RMM, your PSA
Yep.
were separate. If you wanted documentation, separate. If you want
Separate.
antivirus, separate. It was,
Mhm.
everything was separate. Now I did fall into one that had a big chunk of that,
Sure.
which is one of the reasons I don't want to change, is because when I have evaluated tools since,
Sure.
I seem to lose a piece of what I had. And going out away from one dashboard is something I don't want to do. Now, you guys have a lot of features that were they all truly built from the ground up when it comes to PSA, RMM, documentation, project management, billing? Was all that truly built from the ground up?
Yeah, it is. The beauty of what's built is it's built on a modern framework and a modern platform and a secure environment under secure pretenses. Like it was literally started from nothing. There's nothing that was bought. There's nothing that's borrowed. There's no GitHub in there. There's no products that have been bought. Like even our integrations, the reason people love them is because we build them into our tool, not bolt them on. Like, so we take APIs and others and literally build them in to our tool. So the reason for that is that the seamless experience has to be just that, because every time that, like, there's a loss in technician time, right? So if we were to take these things and just slap them together, there's still this gap. Like there's frustration time of switching between things. If I can click, 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 get it done, I'm happy, right? But if I'm click, oh, let me go get that, and then all right, click, oh, the phone's ringing. What was I doing, right? Like, there's just too many opportunities there. So yes, to your answer, SuperOps is built from the ground up on its own code, in its own environment, by its own devs. We have I think we have about 40 engineers that are on staff, and that's all they do is they just build code and write code and do feature requests. And so if there's issues, our roadmap is public, like all those things. As people say there's issues, like that's why it's done so fast with us, because we have devs that are doing it. We're not like having to go hire the third party that helped us build it. Right. So that's a speed, that's time to profitability and time to revenue for us. So proudly, it is built by us and has been from the ground up.
All right. So Nancy, you're out and about,
Mhm.
talking to MSPs and stuff. What are you hearing in terms of questions that they're asking? Can it do this? Can it do that? Or I wish you guys did this. What's the feedback you've been getting?
So I'm glad that you asked this question because it's an easy one for me. Thank God. No.
Oh, I got a hard one coming.
Fine, fine. um, no, so that's one of the things that excites me the most. So I started to literally go live with partners, not even partners, with people that are demoing the product because of the excitement that I saw when they were seeing the product, which was very similar to my own reaction. So I was literally timing how quickly I could onboard myself onto the product, and it was less than 2 minutes, um, which was like mind blowing. Um, and then just the process of getting everything set up, it flowed just naturally. It was like this is what I so painstakingly built into other platforms for so many years, and holy crap, this made I told Juan, okay, let me go start an MSP because
Told her
it's
no. I told her no,
I can
Nancy.
so it definitely excited me just because of the time savings that not just like setting up, but the time to like the timing on tickets, how you start a timer even is some of the things that I saw, but were some of the things that were people were in awe of is the timer itself. Because it's not difficult to start. So if it's not difficult to start, adoption is much easier, and it tracks and it pauses and it follows your movements through the platform. So that's one thing. God, there's been so many. I think I have a list here, actually, of things that people have said. The support
Right.
team is incredible. So kudos to the support team because apparently they are amazing. And that's one thing that I hear over and over again. Feature requests are quick. So the development team is quick to add features that are being requested, um, and that they're on top of fixes. So that's something that I wrote down today from feedback just today. And I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sticky notes
And we don't have
of
time for
Hey,
all
so you
10.
and Tom are
sorry.
friends, so Tom's gonna love you. Tom's like where the he loves the sticky notes, man. Let's give a shout out to Tom out there.
Mr. Wyatt is in the chat.
I actually wish I had a
And
sticky note on
he
my
asked
desk
a
right
great
now.
question that you
Oh,
answered. How many clicks was that when you were doing your clickety click?
I think
So
it's 4 million clicks. Click, 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 click,
click,
click,
click,
click.
click, click. All the
yeah.
post-its.
Now, have you guys had any comments about, and I need to ask this because the company was born in India,
Sure.
and there's a perception that the data centers are over there. Are there data centers like here in the US, or is everything still over in India?
No, it's actually all here. So where our company's founded, actually, even though we have a team in India, like we actually our data centers are actually here in the AWS here in the US. So
You
all of the
just had a
data is
big
actually,
party over there last week, man.
we
Weren't
did,
you there
man,
for
but
2
none of
weeks?
our data was in India with us, bro. Like it
Okay.
was like we left it here in the US and said, we'll see you in a little while, data, and we'll be back. Like,
We'll be back.
so it's here in the AWS East and West. So like we have it here. It does not actually exist anywhere in India. It is accessed securely from the other side. Again, we have our SOC 2 Type 2, and so we have a lot of security controls and protocols around how we handle data and are able to address a lot of those. And again, it's on our website too if anyone wants to dig into it. But it was a big concern, right? Like, it is a friendly nation, but at the same token, a lot of people have some concerns about that. And so for all intents and purposes, it's a good question. But we are here. And again, this is why we're actually housing our corporate headquarters. One of my big roles here is actually standing up the U.S. headquarters here in Dallas and then also in Tampa. So we are here, and the corporate headquarters is now here in Texas. So
What's
we're
going to be
here,
in
man.
Tampa? Because that's my state.
I know we're coming to your town, man. Like I'll be down there next month.
Tampa's not my town.
Identifying.
You're gonna be in my town? You're gonna be in the East Coast?
I might come by. We'll go to lunch.
Come on by.
I will.
Come see the studio.
I'm gonna come over there and see it because we'll be there for a couple weeks. So, yeah, we're gonna open up our office in Tampa. So a lot of our
Okay.
sales engineering, our sales team primarily will be here. So a lot of our India team actually will be here on rotation, working in the U.S. With us. So they'll be rotating through, and then they'll be going back over a period of months. So like our Texas office will be the hub, and then we'll actually have a lot of our SE team, our sales engineers, out of Tampa. So.
Okay.
You got a pretty
So the SuperOps yacht that was in Miami, that's gonna be stationed in Tampa, is what you're saying.
yeah, man. We gotta get you on that next one.
Permanently.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, a lot of people love the yacht. I promise we will do that again.
All right. Let's people can go to the website. I had put it up earlier, superops.com, and all the questions are there. The frequently asked questions, signups, can you pay, what types of plans you have, monthly, annual, how many endpoints you have per technician, because your pricing is per technician. Here's a question. The first package only comes with 150 endpoints, and then you have to buy more. How did you guys come up with the number of 150?
So if you take, it's actually, so the pricing, the way SuperOps prices is per technician. And so if you think about the total number of devices that a technician can fully support, like we hear numbers between, again, no PTSD moments here, but like that upper echelon of 400 devices per technician, right? Like everyone's like always thought about that number, even though it came out in the early enterprise days. We kind of started to take a look at the pricing and said, all right, hey, how many devices can a technician actually even effectively manage? And what should like that workload look like? And so on and so forth. So the number 150 came about in terms of the number of devices that are associated with that. So as you think about scaling your business, instead of having to buy individual licenses for every little thing, we said, okay, well, if there's 5 technicians, there's likely going to be X amount of seats that are associated with that particular company. And that's how we came up with the pricing. So if you're in the operational range of efficiency, you're probably gonna be somewhere in that 150. And then if you start really going into the scaling component and you're actually doing more with less because you have operational prowess, then you don't have to pay for another technician. You just pay for the additional seats. So that's really how it came about in terms of how they structured it. A lot of goes into our pricing conversations. Like you can't imagine the amount of conversations we have around how to price stuff, but that's how the genesis of that design came about. Again, predating us, but it took me a minute to make sure I understood as well.
Yeah. All right. And then of course the big question is the AI powered part of it. So exactly what is this intelligent automation part of SuperOps?
Yeah. So just in full transparency too, because I know a lot of people are worried about, again, the data being here in the US is a question that's answered. But the data also from a security perspective, what has access to my data? This is customer data that we have to think about, right? And these are customer computers, and can this be weaponized? And a lot of those things, like me and Matt Lee have talked about, like, the implications and the opportunities around that. So our AI was built by us. So like, we're not borrowing or leasing AI from another company. Like, we're not taking Chat GPT and stitching it into our programs and products. Like, we built our own AI. And what it's built to do is to harness the data and actually use the data that it's being trained by to make better decisions. So in the case of something that's really interesting is conversations, right? So like in the case of a ticket, you could ask it, hey, summate this ticket to me. Like, just tell me everything that's happened here. And it would actually just show you everything that's happened in that ticket, give you an outcome, and say, all right, hey, let's just go ahead and generate the summation of this ticket and then email it to my customer. But I also want to change the sentiment of this ticket, because usually technicians are just like very raw and brash, like, hey, your PC sucks, and because you don't want to pay the money, that's why it doesn't work. That's been sent, I know, because I've seen it go out of my offices before, right? So it's kind of like, okay, soft skills are not our strong suit. Not saying that's not everybody, but there are a few. We're techs, like, we're engineers, so that being said, ours allows you to change the sentiment and saying, hey, use a softer tone on this, and it rewrites the summation of the ticket to help them come up with those opportunities and then deliver it. That's a good, for instance, of how some of it works. On the other end, a lot of the intelligent automation and the RMM aspects is looking at nuances of how the devices are functioning and making recommendations on things that might go bad, things that are going to happen to those particular machines, and ways that, hey, you may not be looking at this because it has all the data, and it can help you make smarter decisions on things that should take place or things that might happen in the future. So
One
a
thing
lot
that
of
we
that.
spent a lot of time on
Mhm.
in my MSP was looking for patterns, ultimately, of what tickets are going to come in with the same issues and around the same time, and can we automate that? So that's something that we started to do within our MSP, and so to realize this AI aspect is going to do that work for you. The scrubbing of tickets ultimately to see what are the patterns, when are they happening, so that you can start
Mhm.
to build out automated assistance for your customers. That's something that you know, can be automatically generated for you instead of somebody actually spending the time to go through all those tickets, because who has time for that?
Nancy, I'm glad
And
you
I think,
spoke up because I was going to ask you to translate what Juan said for the simple
oh,
minds
come on.
here.
You guys are all jokers over here. Come on. We all live in this world. We know what we're talking
We
about.
do,
But
yes.
that's the thing, right? So like, the way our AI is built in, it's a foundational component. So it has access to the data. We'll be launching new features and things. Like, we have a network monitoring tool that we just launched. And a lot of it is like, if you knew where you're having problems on the network end with a machine, like, you could triangulate that data really quickly manually. How much time does that take you, though? You can't bill for that in managed services. So like, your tools should do that for you. And so that's really where we're coming up with that. And again, like SOP generators and other things that we're actually coming out with, documentation, best practice, opportunities. So all those things can be done by AI. And so that's how we're leveraging it. And it's really interesting. And I think a lot of our customers are excited about some of the things they can do with it already.
Now, I've heard you mention network monitoring now for probably about a month, but I haven't seen or heard exactly what the network monitoring does. So for
Sure.
those of us who are on the outside looking in, what are you actually monitoring?
Right. So right now, it's actually locating devices on the network, right? So it's being able to look at all the SNMP devices that it can identify. Right now, it's looking to heartbeat signals and looking for the devices on the network and looking at all those things. Now, right now, I know the big ask is, how soon can I actually manage and configure those devices, backup configs, do all those things? That's coming. But the first things first is, as we build stuff, we have to roll it out in a way that is secure by design. So you want to make sure that we built it the right way. And so we've released network monitoring to a point where you actually can now see all the devices on the network through SNMP. So future state coming with a lot of new updates and things that are being added on, which should be coming out, I think, Friday. I think we're announcing more of it Friday, but it's a big thing and we're really excited about it.
Just ahead of the curve. We could have had the big announcement here tonight. All right.
You're on the front edge, man.
Yeah. So Keith asked a question in the chat that I think is going to take too long to answer, but I just wanted to draw your attention to it. One of his concerns is using AI, moving away from our real value and profit, which is customer service and care. Do you balance that in your delivery? Can you answer that quickly?
So here's the thing, right? It's an option. You have an option. Like, it's not taking over and doing it for you. It's just giving you a different way to position the information and it's giving you intelligence around all the things. So instead of scrolling through Mary that had 72 tickets over the last 30 days, you can say to it, can you tell me all the tickets that Mary's had over the last 30 days and give me a summation of all her biggest problems, right? And in that, it'll actually give you the compartmentalized aspect of, here are all the things. And can you help me craft an email to help her explain the challenges? And then you can change the sentiment. So it's not, you don't have to use it that way, but for all intents and purposes, it's designed to create a more enhanced customer experience, not to detract, but it's also using it as a learning tool to help others understand the way to communicate more effectively with your customers, not necessarily detracting from taking the human aspect away. Because if you've ever gotten an email from me, you probably got a bunch of typos. You know it's real, right? You know that the word they has been misspelled with me a million times, right? You know it's sincere. So it's not to take the human element out. It's actually more of a learning, educational, communication aspect. And then, of course, on the automated side of the RMM, as taking all the data and really being able to give you that strategic intelligence. So if anything, is more enhancing of those aspects. And we're really cautious about approaching it in that lens, because I totally get where you're coming from. Again, as a creator, I don't want AI to be creating something for me and to take away my creative ability. But I would enjoy for it to not make me sound foolish and maybe have typos all the time. And people are like, dude, seriously? And you write books? Like, how? Well, I have an editor. So there's that.
Well, the other problem with AI too is that right now, anything we type into ChatGPT or any of the others, they technically own once we type it in there. So it becomes, basic. I don't want to say public domain, but it's their domain. And the answers that we get from it are, for lack of a better phrase, become plagiarism, because everybody starts using the same thing. All that stuff. It'll be interesting. I'm glad you guys.
Interesting. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm glad you guys have your own platform, because that's what people are going to want. They don't want to get the same old regurgitated stuff on the other sites.
The cool thing about it is that I've heard that word twice today.
Regurgitate?
Regurgitate.
I say this all the time. I actually said this to somebody recently. I said, dude, there's a difference between thought regurgitation and thought leadership. And AI right now in its current state does not have the ability to be creative. It only can be iteratively regurgitated in a new way that you've never seen before, which makes you feel like it's creative, which is not. It's actually just iterating the past to you in a much different, much more balanced nuance, right? So real creativity comes from us. And this is, like, I talked about the future of AI and the human element back in 2008 when I did a talk for CompTIA. I created a whole presentation about what AI was going to be doing for us. So I still stick to those laurels that AI still has the ability to create. It's just retaking everything and reorganizing it in a different way that we haven't seen. So because it has all that information.
I think when it comes to the AI aspect, and it being an enhancement, at the end of the day, that's what a tool is meant to do, right? Is to give you more time back so that you can spend time on the things that matter the most, which is the things that we can't replace, which is humans. So
Well, here's the thing too, though. Like, if I was gonna like have a challenge with a customer in the next 36 months, and I didn't know that, and based on industry trends, like, what if you told me that I was gonna have a problem with this industry type in 36 months? Like, would I change my business model? Would I maybe pivot and stop from potentially having to mortgage my house? You know what I mean? Because of this major deficit of this particular industry type. That's where I think it can actually benefit us in a multitude of ways to make really smart futuristic decisions on business best practice, right? So this is the way we're kind of thinking about leveraging AI, not necessarily to replace your technician or do all the things that you can do, but actually give you valuable insights on how to operate your business. And I promise you, mark my words, and on this show, in the next 12 months, you will see us do some really, really special stuff with AI that will change the landscape for a while until somebody copies it.
All right. And we will have you back on the show to explain all that and talk about it and promote it.
It's going to be cool.
It'll be fantastic. So I want to kind of get us to slow down because, listen, I've seen you guys talk into the wee hours in the morning. We're not going to do that tonight. So,
but wait, hold on. Henry Tim just got here, man. Like, we got to, like,
the 5 minutes that he stays, right?
Yeah, he either comes in the first 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes. Somewhere in there. So, he's Henry Tim is that person that you remember from a party, but you don't remember him at the beginning or at the end. You just know he was there at some point. You know, Henry Tim was probably at every conference ever had in the channel in 2023.
I guarantee he's got to take the cake. I thought I go to a lot. No, I think he's got me.
I think he has one of those things from Harry Potter, what is the time turner? So he could be in multiple places at once.
All right. So
he says he's been lurking around while you're talking. I believe it.
You know what that is? It's time for Florida Man or Random Question.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Did you guys prepare for that?
I'll be honest. I hope Nancy did.
No. Nancy, did you prepare for it?
Of course I prepared for it. Now, if it's the right thing, I don't know.
Well, let's see. The first
We'll
part is let me ask, are you going to tell us a story to challenge Florida Man, or are you gonna wimp out and answer a random question?
No, I'm gonna challenge Florida Man.
All right.
I've got a good one. I think I have a good one.
So tell us your Florida Man challenge story.
So someone from our community.
Okay, that's a good start. Someone. Sources say
From our community. Yep. Not going to name any names because we don't know who it is. But if you're listening, you know who you are. So I live in Houston, and there's a prominent street in Houston. It's called Westheimer. If you've been to Houston, you know Westheimer. Someone hacked a sign that is like huge and very visible on this busy street in Houston, and decided to tell the world how they felt that day, I guess, and said something very inappropriate. Do you want to know what the sign said?
Of course.
It said, "Go beep yourself."
Oh.
So that made the news.
On the sign on Westheimer?
On a sign on Westheimer.
Yep. These texts,
it was
man, I swear.
Several hours before they took it down.
Oh.
Now,
here's the question: are there pictures to prove it?
There are. There are pictures to prove it. There are. You'd have to look it up.
All right. There we go.
Now your filter might block you because
it might.
All right. So Juan, your part into this Florida Man challenge is you're going to pick a number between 1 and 3, and that'll be the Florida Man story that I share.
He got it so
Freeze.
easy. Ah,
Well, he said he didn't prepare, so I'm not going to have him
Oh,
scramble
if
on
you
air.
actually, you know what? Hey, just to
a
make it
random
fun, and
question.
give me a random question.
Random question. Okay, well,
I'm not, and I'll pick a number, but after the random question.
okay. So random
Ooh.
question is going to be okay. This is
Good one. It's a good one. Make it a good one.
I probably should have backed up. Let's just
what,
rewind the tape.
what
Sounds-
conspiracy theories? Here we go. What conspiracy theories do you believe could be true?
That's actually a really good one. Man, that's actually really, really good. So I let me just I'm a data guy, right? So like
Okay.
I've dug into the depths of a lot of conspiracy theories. There are all kinds of them. Just because I'm trying to understand the thing that drives the people to believe it's true or to actually get to the bottom of it. One of them being contrails. Like I love the contrail conspiracy. Like I think that that's probably one of my favorite things to look at. I mean, every time I'm in a plane, I'm like looking out the window to see if they start spraying aluminum oxide over the cities, right? Like I think that's probably one of my fun ones. Like there's that. Also the conspiracy theory of what's underneath the Denver DIA airport is another fun one.
Okay.
And growing up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, always thinking about the conspiracy theory about things being in the mountains, and like there's these hidden bunkers. I worked at Sandy National Labs, and I can tell you that there is shit in the mountains. But I also, growing up there, all the things about aliens, right? Roswell and Area 51 and all these things. So I grew up in a very conspiracy theorist aspect. So I always had to search for all the data to find it. So those are the top three, I think, are my biggest conspiracy theories that I actually
had a boom,
He's like,
boom,
we can
boom.
keep going, actually.
Contrails, Area 51. We're ready.
like.
Star,
You asked,
Stargate,
like,
Cheyenne Mountain. I mean, just
flat
Wow.
Earth theory,
Ooh.
right? Like like Bigfoot, right? I lived in Durango, Colorado,
is
and
real.
like you'd be
Yeah.
surprised like how many people still believe there's a Bigfoot up there, and like
Yeah.
how people we go hunt for it. And I'm just like, it's wild, man. Like sometimes you just have to let the creative mind go, and that's where I find it's funny. So let's pick a number.
All right. 1, 2, or 3.
I'm gonna go with 3. I think 3 is my one of my favorite numbers.
3. Okay.
Some of the comments in here are live.
I know. Florida man destroys bus after waking up in Disney World instead of SeaWorld.
I saw that one.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yep. Oops.
He destroyed a bus.
37-year-old Elijah Thomas was arrested after a violent attack against a bus that had transported him to the Walt Disney World Resort. Thomas rode a Lynx bus from downtown Orlando in an attempt to make it to SeaWorld, but fell asleep and ultimately missed his stop. So if you've seen the story, let me go on. Let's see. When he got there, the bus driver told him he had to get off the bus as Disney Springs was the final stop. Thomas then became irate, started to yell and curse at the driver. He exited the bus. He then remained outside while more passengers boarded the bus. And when the bus driver would not allow him on, he punched the front door glass several times, then kicked the bottom glass of the front door, causing it to break in a spider pattern. The damage was only $500, but he was arrested.
Yeah, damage to public property. You're done.
Yep.
Well, I don't
Especially to
know.
Disney.
I like ours a little bit better. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. We're gonna have to get a vote. Like, do you like that the MSP or tech community hacked the sign to put an expletive, or I don't know. I'm on the fence here.
Yeah, what we're going to need to do is start to make this a video version or a pictorial version so we can at least have that. Sometimes, there are Florida man stories, but yeah, yours probably, I mean, there's a few times Florida man has lost. I'm not going to admit this might be one of those times.
Man, I tell you, that's our naughty tech community acting as Texas man, I guess you'd say, to rival Florida man. Oh,
Oh, I like that.
it wasn't me though, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. So at least the airplane fart man wasn't in Florida.
What is this? Now, this is a story I don't know, but it sounds
I'll have to go back and find that one. There was an airline the other day that had to turn around because a gentleman was arguing. Let me see if I can find it real quick with other passengers. Let's see.
There's nothing worse.
Let's see.
Just coming off of like a 24-hour flight and then a follow-up 13-hour flight, like back to back, like over 50 hours worth of flying.
Yeah, here it is. So gassy passenger reportedly causes American Airlines flight delay.
Oh, that one.
Oh.
So the alleged story was retold by another Reddit user, who apparently was on the flight. The user described what happened. I was seated near the row where the situation occurred, describing the gassy man as being audibly disgruntled and maybe hungover. Before he started farting, he said, "You thought that was rude? Well, how about this smell?" and let it rip.
Those beer brats from the stadium got him sideways. That's for sure.
Then it just became arguments and stuff. He started yelling at people across the row, "If you don't like it, you can fly private." That's so effing rude. So, yeah, they had to turn the plane around and get him off, and they were delayed about 30 minutes.
Oh my!
What city was this in?
This was. Let's see.
We got to know the city because there's a lot of cities.
Please don't be Texas.
The flight was from Phoenix to Austin, so close.
I was going to Austin. He's from Texas.
Oh my
God.
Texas man for the win tonight.
Right?
There you go. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so there is your what?
So even that story is Texas man. So I think Texas man just wins the night.
Fine. One night. One night. I'll let you have it.
Yes.
Oh, I love this.
All right. So there we have it, folks. Our newest friends in the show, sponsors SuperOps. Juan Fernandez. The official title is just Channel Chief, right?
Channel Chief, man.
And Nancy, what is it? Head of U.S. Community?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I like Queen of the Americas better.
I agree. Maybe we change it.
All right. I'll look for that on LinkedIn tomorrow morning.
In parentheses, per Marvin B.
Yeah. All right, folks. So I should let you know, not only is SuperOps the drink sponsor, they are also sponsor of that Florida Man segment that you just heard. And if you are paying attention to the podcast in your podcatcher, any audio show that we have out that is not associated with a series is also being sponsored by SuperOps. So yesterday we had an episode drop with our super fan, Brittany Hodak. So be sure to check that out in your podcatcher. If not, head over to itbusinesspodcast.com and grab your latest episodes. Click on that sponsor page and support our sponsors, NetAlly, SuperOps, Computers Done Right, and Instant House Call. We are going to be seeing you guys out and about.
Oh, yeah.
I will not be staying up with you past midnight, but we'll hang at the bar, share stories, and talk about how SuperOps is doing great things for our community. Thank you for your time this evening. And Nancy, we've got another thing to talk about later. So stay
That's
on
right.
after the show. So that's going to do it, folks, for this Wednesday. You can check us out just about every Wednesday, 8 p.m. We stream live on YouTube, LinkedIn, the Facebook, and on the homepage of itbusinesspodcast.com. Check us out. We are the show for IT professionals everywhere, whether you're a solo MSP, a boutique MSP, or a mega millionaire MSP. We bring you product stories and tips to help you do your jobs better, smarter, and faster. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Nancy. And thank you all for everyone that hung out with us live here in the chat. We'll see you all soon. And until next time, holla.